The Los Angeles Rams went all in this season and they won the Super Bowl. And it is a copycat league, and you see GMs and coaches and owners all over the league saying, hey, I want to win a Super Bowl, so let's F them picks, trade for players that you know are good, and just go all in on the season. And hey, it can work. And frankly, the Rams, they went all in, but their future is still relatively bright. They have some cap issues. They got some guys who need to get paid, but they won. They won the Super Bowl, and even though they're going to be without draft picks for a hot second, it hasn't really mattered to GM Les Snead. Now, he's been GM of the Rams for a long time, even going back to St. Louis. And what's been amazing is that on top of the Jalen Ramsey trade from the Jaguars for 2 firsts and a 4th, Matthew Stafford coming over from the Lions, sending Jared Goff and giving up 2 firsts as well as a 3rd. Mainly, the Lions got an extra first to warehouse Jared Goff's contract. They traded for Sony Michel midseason for a 6th and a 4th. They traded for Von Miller, clearing out their draft picks for a 2nd and a 3rd. And even before that, Les Snead and the Rams were taking big-time swings at the trade market, trading for Brandon Cooks. That didn't work out. Trading for Marcus Peters, who then they again flipped. They flipped both of them. They just went and got it done. But also signing OBJ after he got cut by the Rams. And they truly did go all in. And I sort of understand it. Where us with the Vikings, and a lot of teams around the league, the draft is the holy grail. That's where you build your team. That's where you get guys on the rookie deals. That's where you find the competitive advantage. Still, the greatest competitive advantage in the National Football League is a very competent rookie starting quarterback on his rookie deal, so you can spend money everywhere else, right? It still is. And you want to replenish your roster, not only the stars, but also the special teamers, the brick and mortar guys that keep your team together. And, we can't give up first-round picks because all of those players are going to be good. And if we trade back or if we do this and if you tank for games, you're going to get better players. Now, the Rams are really spitting in that face, and it's sort of reverse Moneyball. Like it's more Moneyball. I love it, man. But what you're trying to do in the draft is you're trying to select players that you hope will be good. And this is what the comparison should always be. Hey, we're trading for an established player who we know is good. Yes, it will take trade compensation. Yes, we'll have to pay him, but there's a salary cap and a floor for a reason. So we got to spend that money somewhere, right? And also, we can make it work with the books because #cap is a myth. And look at the draft picks. And historically, some of the trades, maybe it's a swing and a miss. And you're trying to draft a player that you hope is as good as a player that you already know. It's almost like Major League Baseball, where some teams don't care about the draft at all. They don't care about their farm system. They are constantly trading picks as well as prospects for players that they know are good now. And there's obviously no salary cap in baseball, so they're like, okay, yeah, we'll trade for him, and then we'll pay him, and then we'll do whatever, right? And that has worked from time to time. Maybe you notice in baseball. And I wonder if the Rams are starting to shake things up, because most teams around the league, it's all about the draft. You got to protect that draft pick. All of our hopes and dreams are on some 20, 21, 22-year-old kid who has never played a down of professional football, and all of our dreams are on him. Or should we take 2 of those picks of those kids, and also, if you're a good team, they're going to be late-round picks anyway, so they're like, all right, we'll give up a couple of those for a player that you know is a rock star. Something you got to think about. You do. And also, what's amazing, so Les Snead is the GM of the Rams, who in 2012 were at number 2, right? So the Colts were at 1, took Andrew Luck. The Rams were at 2. They could have taken RG3, but they traded the pick, so Washington could take RG3 for 3 firsts and a 2nd. But it did not work out for the Rams. And you would think that, hey, this windfall, that these amazing picks, and also, by the way, the Rams didn't trade down far in the first round in 2012. They went down to 6. So they got 6, they got a 2013, 22, and then they also got the 2nd overall pick in 2014, and a 2nd rounder, number 39 overall, in the same year, 2012. You would think that bounty would set your franchise up. No, it didn't. They whiffed on nearly all the picks. So here are the picks. This tweet is from Gilbrandt 2018, but it still holds true. So Michael Brockers, who was on the Rams for a hot second, and hilariously, they traded him to the Lions after they traded Jared Goff there, and Brockers had some not so nice things to say about Jared Goff. It's hilarious. But Janoris Jenkins, solid cornerback, but he's whatever. Isaiah Peed, long out of the NFL. Alec Ogletree was an okay linebacker, but he's gone. Stedman Bailey, gone. Or Rokevius Watkins, never even heard of him. Zach Stacy was fired for a hot second and then gone. And Greg Robinson was the biggest miss of all because he was that number 2 overall pick in 2014, and he was just not good. Also, I think he just got arrested with like a lot of weed. Maybe that's correct. I don't know. But so the fact that they took all of those picks and through various trade downs, that is what they ended up with, and it's a bust. And RG3 was a bust. Sometimes neither side wins on a trade. And I think Les Snead, seen here with that mug that says, F those picks. I think that he's just like, you know what? We're just going to get good players, and it is what it is at that point. Because, look, the Rams have one day 2 selection. No day 1s. 1 day 2 selection, a 3rd round pick. And then they have a gaggle full of day 3 picks. Yes. And if you're going to do this, you have to be confident in your coaching staff to be able to develop day 2, day 3 picks to help fill in the cracks, because you got your star players, you got the guys that are making the big dough, and then you need to fill everything out. And the amazing thing is, so they don't have a 1st round pick this year. They don't have 1, 2, 3 because of the Stafford trade and as well as the Von Miller trade. Next year, they're without a 1, 4, 7. The Rams have not picked in the 1st round since 2016. And that pick that year was Jared Goff. Not so much. But even going back further, I mean, 2015, they had a 1st round pick, number 10 overall, in Todd Gurley, where Gurley was fine for a second, but you're spending a top 10 pick on a running back, and then you paid that running back a lot of money? Not so much. Not so much. Rob Havenstein was solid as a 2nd round pick. They spent a 3rd round pick on Sean Mannion. That's how bad Les Snead is at this thing. And then going through some of the more recent drafts. So, yeah, Cooper Kupp in the 3rd round. That's a pretty good one. You're drafting a 24-year-old rookie coming out of Eastern Washington. Yeah, it sort of worked out pretty good there, right? And then Joseph Noteboom was a solid backup to Whitworth. Brian Allen is a starting center. So you have to hit on these. You're like picking up your starting center, very confident. Brian Allen in the 4th round, very important. Jonathan Franklin Myers, where he didn't find success with the Rams, but now he's with the Jets. He got paid, so I guess that's technically a hit. There you go. Taylor Rapp is a stud. Darnell Henderson is a perfectly fine backup. Bobby Evans, whatever. Dakota Allen getting after things. Cam Akers, Van Jefferson in the 2nd round. Terrell Lewis, love it, man. It's good times. And then this year's draft, I mean, Tutu was a guy that I loved, even though he's 5'2". Didn't really get in the offense, but whatever there. But you have to be able to start hitting on some of these late round picks. Ernest Jones ended up being a starter. Bobby Brown was all up in there as well. So you need to be able to do some of these things where it's always a struggle, because I'm a big draft nick myself, but I do see the wisdom of what the Rams did. And I think that teams around the league will look at it as like, hey, you know what? Our draft picks haven't really panned out a lot recently. And if you look at the Vikings, some of the recent drafts, and now you can blame a lot of it on Zimmer, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, besides Kendricks and Hunter and Harrison, well, Harrison's a little bit ways back. Name a draft pick in the defensive draft pick in the Zimmer era that's really worked out. Hunter, Kendricks. That's it. Xavier was before, and then Xavier was bad. So that's amazing, man. And I think, I do think that there is some merit for this. And I think that you will, I wonder, so Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the Vikings GM, he is not a traditional scout guy, right? He is an outside-the-box thinker. He's always asking why. And I think that he may look at the Rams formula and be like, that is smart. Especially since you are going to be a good team. Your draft picks are going to be at the back end of the rounds anyway. So giving up those that compensation for players that you know are good now and assembling a bit of a super team, and plus it turns into a nearly a self-fulfilling prophecy, because players who want to get rings like OBJ who have options, they'll come to your team to try and win a ring. And all of a sudden, you get players at below market value because they see what you're building with this team, and then they go after it. It's interesting. Now, it's quite a departure from the whole Trader Rick point of view, where you want as many pulls out of the slot machine as possible. But teams that have a desperate owner and a desperate GM, like especially a desperate GM, like, hey, GM, you're about to be fired. Why not trade a bunch of your future picks for players that are good now? Try and save your job, because if you get fired anyway, you won't be around to make those picks. So who cares, right? But it's amazing. So respect to what Sean McVay and Les Snead have done with the Rams, and especially Les Snead. How can you be so bad at the draft and then you just magically make it work out? Maybe he just decided, hey, we are terrible at drafting. I'm just going to say F those picks, and we're just going in, man. Just going in. I do think that there is a little bit of merit cashing in these picks, which are lottery tickets for something, for hard-earned cash. Like, if you had a lottery ticket, like you had a scratch-off, you had a scratch-off where you could win up to $1,000, but someone offered you $50 for it, just take the $50, right? Trading two lottery tickets for $50 over the long term, that will work out. Yes, sometimes the person will win $1,000, but most likely they will win zero or a lot less than 50. And you have that 50 in hand, you know the value of it, except for inflation will probably turn it into tree 50, whatever. It's intriguing, man. Like, this is a fun, could be a crux in history. Like, does the NFL draft become meaningless to some of the top teams? I mean, the Patriots, to a degree, have been doing this for years. The Ravens constantly have been trading out of the first round. Man. Interesting times, man. But your thoughts are our thoughts. Have the Rams changed the way the teams will build in the National Football League going forward? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.